bouncing around, but recovered by James Prochet of the Browns. Browns win it 31-27. I mean, defense, 4 different quarterbacks. They find a way to win. They're now 8-5. Just a handful of teams in the history of this game have rolled 4 different starters out there and won with all of them. That's exactly what the Cleveland Browns are doing, now 8-5, as are the Jags, following yet another loss.
Well, Joe, this felt like a throwback. Old school AFC North football, a little stressful for you. What was required to win it?
Listen, it was definitely an ugly game. You know, mistakes on both sides. Definitely didn't play the cleanest football today on my end, but I have a feeling that's the way this team kind of likes it, and they really react well in times like this. And listen, I've been here for a couple weeks, and I've been watching them on TV for the last handful of bit, and that's just kind of what I've seen. So hey, we'll take them any way we can get them.
Yeah, you mentioned that 3 weeks ago you've been watching this game at your mom's house, enjoying some food and some warm conditions inside. How much are you enjoying being back on the field competing?
It was a lot of fun today. I didn't enjoy the last 10 minutes of standing on the sideline, but so many times where I was just feeling like a 10-year-old kid again. And to be able to do that, you just can't let it be lost on you how special it is to be able to play this game. So that's how I feel.
Lastly, Joe, you've been around teams with good defenses and some talent offensively. As you start to learn this group, what do you think you're capable of?
Yeah, listen, I think we're going to have to rely on those guys on the defensive side of the ball. That's what wins big games. Those guys were awesome today. They let up 2 touchdowns on turnovers, and then the end of the game. So, if those guys can play like that week in and week out, and we can start taking that next little step, it feels like we have the ability to kind of blow these games open a little bit more, and we're just letting these teams hang around a little bit. So if we can get over that next step of just not letting these teams hang around, then we have a good formula.
Congrats on your first win as a Brown.
Thank you.
Sage wisdom there from a man with gray in his beard and a ring on his finger. This has been unbelievable to watch this Browns team go through what they have and continue to win football games. Only 8 teams have won with 4 different starting quarterbacks since 1950. They don't want to see a 5th one. They're fine right there, slotted at 4. And it looks like they may have found their quarterback. Joe Flacco named the starter for the remainder of the season. I'm not sure what other end we'd come to here, but Flacco with a win for the Browns, the 4th different quarterback to go with Deshaun, DTR, Flacco. I mean, this has been unbelievable to watch this defense and this coaching staff keep this team afloat. How have they done that?
Defense and coaching staff. That's exactly it. I'm feeling a little nostalgic, Joe, because when Joe Flacco was drafted in 2008 out of Delaware, that was the Big Ben, Carson Palmer, AFC North. And here we are, fast forward to 2023. Don't forget, Joe Flacco had to transfer from Pitt to Delaware because he lost the starting job to Tyler Palco. And here we are.
I did forget, I'll be honest.
2023, and he is arguably the best healthy quarterback in this division after Lamar Jackson, which is nuts. I mean, the Jake Browning story is a fantastic story, but we've watched 2 weeks now Joe Flacco come in and just deal. He's a little more mobile than perhaps we thought he was. I love the visual of him sitting in his mom's house watching football games.
I think I could play for them.
You know what, Mom? I'm going to call him up and see what happens. And then he makes his way to Cleveland, and they have bought in. We talked about the confidence that the Bengals players have in Jake Browning. You get the sense, because of the veteran leadership, the Browns have that same confidence. And more than the Bengals, Jim Schwartz and that defense has been lights out virtually every week. Now, they gave up 27 in this game and in a back-and-forth affair, but we know that they can lock quarterbacks down. And if you have a quarterback in Joe Flacco who makes very few mistakes, gets players involved, leans on the run game, all the cliches we talk about, this team has a chance to be something more than an in-the-way team when they get to January, because I think they're making the playoffs.
Oh, you said it right there. You remember. I mean, you remember all the different changes from school. January Joe. January Joe back out there spinning the football. That looks like the reality.
He's elite.
For this Cleveland team, that is where the elite conversation started. And on this day, that is where the elite conversation will end. Ryan Wilson, we have another elite conversation to have, or elite quarterback that begs conversation on the other side. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
It's not the team we knew a month ago. And there's some issues right now, and it looks like they're trying to perform through it. No quit in this one. They kept it close late with those late points, but just chasing too much. Last year, they were the chaser. This year, they were the chased. I mean, do you see a team pressing right now? It does not look like anybody's having fun out there.
Right, and we talked about this with the Lions, right? Last year, there were no expectations. This year, a ton of expectations, and they felt the weight of those expectations. I think last week's loss, or a few days ago, lost it now that it was, at home to Jake Browning's Bengals, left a mark, and I think the mark it left wasn't that, oh, our quarterback's hurt, because Trevor Lawrence came out and he looked as mobile as we could have hoped he would have looked. Had a couple bad interceptions, had one in which it looked like Calvin Ridley ran the wrong route. But I think the bigger issue for me, Joe, and this has been a recurring theme over the last few weeks, this defense has been a huge problem in terms of getting off the field. And if you're not getting off the field and you're letting Joe Flacco light you up, that is no recipe for success. Forget about the regular season, but success going forward to get where you need to get to. The teams in this division all hurt themselves today that played. Indy had a chance to be tied right now. Houston had a chance against the Jets to be tied right now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jacksonville Jaguars had an opportunity to create some distance between them and the rest of the teams, and yet they all lost. They're all sitting here with a ton of questions, none more so, it feels like, than Jacksonville.
100 career wins for Joe Flacco, and this one comes against Trevor Lawrence's Jags. Ryan, thank you.